So now it's the dog days of summer. Things have been hot for a while. There's a lot of boat traffic out there. You know, the fish are starting to move deeper, but you can catch them year round. You don't have to put the crappie rods away for the summer by any means. Honestly, you can catch them just as good now as you can catch them any other time of the year. Those crappie, they don't evaporate out of the water and then just all of a sudden come back to you in October when you think they're ready. They stay in the water and they stay biting. Another crappie. So what I like to do is start off on your main lake docks, and I'm going to use that fish finder quite a bit when I'm crappie fishing. It can show you where there's schools of them, and it can show you if there's not schools of them. But generally speaking, it's a combination of docks and brush piles. I love fishing docks in the summertime because we have a lot of days where it's real bright and sunny, and we've got all this shade here. I haven't fished this dock in a couple years. And I'm just using my little toe to look around, and I'm looking around. I'm seeing some fish moving around right there. I'm thinking those are bluegills because they're real high up in the water column. Crappie should generally be below. See, bluegill. So this morning I had a friend with me for a while. What we found was this was a dock that was just inside the main channel. It was a fun spot. It was a good spot. It was just inside the main channel though. That's the main thing. Well, he bit this atomic tube, that's yellow and white, and we just went into the shade line, and I got down there a little deeper, and he bit it pretty softly today. That's about a keeper, about a 9.5-inch crappie. Not huge, but not bad. A dock like this is an older dock. It's been established for a while. He's got a bass boat, a few slips up. Those are good indications that there's probably some brush around here. We're the first dock inside from the point. That's a big deal too. I don't see any rod holders on this dock, but I do see an old fish cleaning station over there. Another indication that there's probably some brush here. Now I'm watching that line because sometimes you'll see it jump or move. There's another one right there. So this is a white crappie. Last fish we caught was a black crappie.
So you add a little extra weight to get it down there quicker.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and yours is a 3/32, so that should get down there pretty good. Just another 2 fillets, another sandwich fish. Hopefully the sun's showing them pretty good. They're starting to bite a little bit. This is what makes crappie fishing so much fun, is that you get onto a little hot spot and you can rack up a bunch of them in a hurry. Caught him right in between these, in between the dock lift and the dock itself. And I see there's more down there. So another thing we'll fish in the summertime, but also other times of the year, is large marina style docks. The large marina docks are a little bit more complicated because you gotta fish, generally speaking, in the shade or around the cables. But there's a lot of fish that use these things. I'm seeing some fish right here, and they're pretty darn deep. I mean, they're about 30 feet. A lot of times people have in their minds, hey, these fish are only gonna be this deep to this deep. And quite a bit of the time they've got a pretty wide range of depth that they're gonna be hanging out in. Most likely, you see these cables right here, most likely those fish are relating to those cables down there. The crappie, they just love hanging around these things. I really fish these things a lot in the cooler months of the year, but reality is the fish hold on them all year long. There's so much security in there. There's cables, there's dock lifts, and it's hard for fishermen to get in there. So on a lake that doesn't have any vegetation, the fish just love to hang around the docks. Got one of them. Another crappie. Another nice thing about these docks is that they're relatively easy to fish. Brush piles we get hung up on quite a bit more often. All right, I'm gonna let this guy go. It's his lucky day. I really do love eating crappie. We pulled up to another dock that had a really big boat on it. It's one of those docks. It's on the main channel, but there's some brush there. There's a good drop off right there. It goes from really shallow to like 20, 30 feet. We could see where there was a lot of fish in there, and there was a pile of them in there. But the problem is that there was too many little guys in there. Little guy. Oh, I just caught him in this. I just caught this last little crappie in the dock slip there. I could see a pile of them in there. And sometimes if there's too many crappie, it's actually a bad sign. It means they're all kind of, 8.5 to 9 inchers. And I'm gonna throw in there a couple more times to confirm that theory, but there's a lot of fish in there, and this is the first one I caught, so that's kind of a bad sign. But, another fish. Okay guys, so this is what I'm talking about here. These are all fish. That's about 30 feet away from us to 45 feet, which I can't cast that far underneath this dock. There's too much stuff over there. And the way this thing is set up, this forward facing sonar, it looks like they start about 7 feet and they go down to about 20 feet deep. So these fish are shallower than some of the other fish we've looked at. And I'm just able to get to the edge of them. I can see where they're sitting up at. I could also see that we're not going to spend a whole lot more time on this one dock because there's so many in there. Sometimes too many is a bad thing. So my basic combo, not just for today, but in general, is a 6'6" or a 6'9" Elite Tech rod from Fenwick. This is a very sensitive little rod. It's a light action. This particular one, I've got a 16th ounce jig head with an atomic tube. Today's color was yellow with a pearl tail. I almost always add a little crappie nibble to it. This is a Bluger President XT. It's a smoother reel, a little nicer. This is 4-pound test Trilene XL in green. If I'm fishing in open water, I'll use kind of a moss green colored line. And then if I'm going a little deeper, going around docks, I'll use a 6-pound test. This is basically the same rod. This is another 6'9" light action Fenwick Elite Tech. So what we've got here, this is a Boo Garcia Cardinal S10, just kind of a basic spinning reel. This one's got a little bit heavier line. It's got 6 pounds. This is that Stren Gold. This one's got an 1/8 ounce head, and this one has a Gulp 2.5 inch, just a minnow on there. Color is called Blue Shiner. It was catching quite a few fish today, and it was helping me go a little bit deeper. Today with the high bright skies, they were a little deeper and they were holding on to the deeper brush piles, which is not terribly uncommon for Lake of the Ozarks. The forward-facing fish finders in general, they need to have something a little heavier to pick up on, and that's where I go to these 1/8 ounce heads. And just a generic kind of ball head there. And it is fresh line. If your line's got a lot of coils to it, that's not a good thing. You gotta have something fresh on there. I spend a lot of money on my rods. I want a nice sensitive rod. When that bait's down there in 20-something feet of water and the little crappie bites it, you need to be able to feel it. And a good Fenwick rod will do that for you. So we also caught several fish off of just random brush piles that have been sunk out here by fishermen over the years. We were catching them off kind of a little deeper spots too. I mean, we were routinely in 25 feet of water. These were good sized brush piles, and doing more of a vertical style fishing, using your fish finder, getting it down there. A lot of times the fish will be suspended above the brush pile. That's something we also caught quite a few fish off of. We caught several bass off of it, caught a catfish off of it, and some good crappie off of there. Another crappie. Just wanted to give a couple more brush piles a try. We've been fishing a lot of docks, but this is a deeper brush pile, about 28 feet of water. Didn't take long to catch this guy. Another nice crappie, black crappie. Once again, eating the little Gulp 2.5 inch minnow. Pretty great bait. So what we're coming up on now here is the brush pile. You can kind of see it right there. Brush piles are good pretty much year round, but summertime in particular. Quite a few fish here, and I'm trying to look at the brush pile and have it in my sights. So what I'm doing here is I make my little pitch a little bit past where my intended target is, and I'm leaving the bail open for quite a while, And sometimes I'll even feed it line to make sure it gets down there. And I'm always adjusting the my view with my foot. I'm just tapping it a little bit this way, a little bit that way. Oh, did you see that? I started pulling away and then one came up and take a look. He took a look at it, but I wasn't patient enough for him. And so once again, I'm just gonna make a little pitch out there. There's one. Just can't keep the bass off our lines today. Come here, Mr. Bass. Thank you, Bass. Come up here, try to do a bass video and won't be able to catch any bass. Those deeper brush piles were doing good today, and we could have stayed on those for a while if we wanted to. So this time of year, in the middle of summer, I want you to focus in on the docks that are out towards the main channel. They're getting some current at times. Basically, they have access to deep water and they're not in the shallow water areas anymore. So the main channel docks are great. You gotta check those out. You gotta check out your main lake brush piles. And you don't need a ton of spots too. You know, if you find a half dozen docks or a half dozen brush piles, and that's the ones you rotate through, that's really all you need, because that'll tell you what you need to continue on. And one of those is gonna produce for you. It's just a matter of which one.